Hello, I'll talk about cerebrospinal fluid or CSF. Cerebrospinal fluid is a colorless liquid which protects the brain and the spinal cord from physical and chemical damages. It circulates through the ventricles of the brain and it enters the subarachnoid space and the central canal of the spinal cord. It contains both organic and inorganic substances, which include glucose, lactic acid, proteins, urea, and also positive ions like sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, and also negative ions like chloride and bicarbonate ions. And one more important thing is it also consists of lymphocytes. And if we say the total volume of CSF in a healthy adult person is 80 to 150 milliliters. Coming to the functions of the cerebrospinal fluid, there are three major functions. It provides a suitable chemical environment for neuronal signaling. So it happens by balancing the ions so that it helps to facilitate action potentials. And second important function is physical protection. So it acts like a shock absorbing medium and prevents the brain and the spinal cord bouncing of bony surfaces, that is cranial cavity and vertebral canal. And third important function is exchange of nutrients between blood and nerve tissue takes place through cerebrospinal fluid. CSF filled cavities in brain or ventricles. So lateral ventricles in hemispheres which are separated by septum pellucidum, and third ventricle and then fourth ventricle. Lateral ventricles connects to the third ventricle through foramen of Monroe, whereas third ventricle connects to the fourth ventricle through aqueduct of Sylvius. CSF is produced in the choroid plexus of ventricles, and these choroid plexus is capillary networks in the walls of the ventricles. Ependymal cells of these choroid plexus which are going to form CSF by filtration of blood plasma. And the components of CSF doesn't leak because of the tight junctions of the choroid plexus of epithelial cells. This is called a blood cerebrospinal fluid barrier, and it allows substances to pass through it. That's why in that way it protects the brain from contamination. Coming to the circulation of CSF, I already told that it flows through the ventricles into the subarachnoid space by median and lateral apertures. So if we say the flow in the lateral ventricles, it flows to the third ventricle through foramen of Monroe, then third ventricle to the fourth ventricle through aqueduct of Sylvius, and from fourth ventricle it flows to the central canal of the spinal cord, and also some will flow to the subarachnoid space. So this happens, fourth ventricle to subarachnoid space happens through foramen of Magendie and foramen of Lashkov. So in that way this cerebrospinal flows through the ventricles and then it's going to be absorbed. Thank you.